Welcome to Research Stadium in Corvallis. The Beavers looking for an upset today. Pac-12 football is presented by Red Robin. Number 6 Washington looks to remain unbeaten as they take on the Oregon State Beavers. Along with former Iowa and NFL standout Anthony Herron, Roxy Bernstein with you, Lewis Johnson with us as well. And the Washington Huskies in a rematch of the Pac-12 championship game last week in Boulder relied on Myles Gaskin, the running game, over 200 yards rushing for the Washington running back.
They really finally got that running game going last week. We've seen it kind of being controlled through the initial games of the season, but Myles Gaskin ran behind his pads over 200 yards, as you referenced last week, Roxy. And that offensive line really got their game going. And there's some things they do within the Chris Peterson system that are standard to most opponents, but they add their own wrinkles, like a power play. Most people run it, but they do an inverted wing formation to the play side, so it allows an extra space for Hunter Bryant to be able to come up through the alley. Then they pull the backside guard, Nick Harris, as Trey Adams is able to seal the front side. Look at the cavernous hole that Myles Gaskin is able to exploit. When you look at the defensive end, and a force of nature roams on the inside for the Dogs. That's Vita Vea. All 340 pounds of them. 2 blockers can do nothing at all with him. Goes and eats up the running back. Let's see him here. Just slightly inside of the 2 technique position as he stems in there. And then just watch the way he's able to not be moved at the point of attack, then moves it back. Not just one blocker, but multiple blockers sitting on top of the Tasmanian Devil. When Vita Vea plays at that level, he is as exciting to watch as any defensive player in the country.
On the other side for Oregon State, you probably know the injury situation at quarterback with Jake Luton injured at Washington State a couple of weeks ago. Darrell Garrettson returned to the starting quarterback role for the Beavers, and he might be the most equipped backup quarterback in the conference to handle a situation like this.
Well, Garrettson's been through the ringer with multiple universities, and he's used to this Gary Anderson system. We're going to see more mobility used at the quarterback position, and as the explosions go off here in Corvallis, I think they're going to be looking for some explosive plays from his legs as well.
Well, it's the explosion from Ryan Nall that Oregon State will need in this one if they're going to pull off the shocker in the upset.
And all that's going to matter today in this game is early down success for this OSU offense. That's going to come with Ryan Nall running behind his pads. I think we're going to see some titanic collisions between he and those Dogs linebackers.
So the Wrecking Nall leads Oregon State against number 6 Washington at Research Stadium in Corvallis. The Huskies, the Beavers, will kick it next on Pac-12 Network. This Pac-12 football game is presented by Red Robin. Yum. And by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave. And by 76, we're on the driver's side. In Corvallis for this Pac-12 showdown between number 6 Washington and Oregon State, as we send it down to Lewis Johnson.
Well, Roxy, Oregon State needs every advantage they can get today on offense, and they came out on the field during warm-ups today with one guy, an important offensive player who was on the bubble. Their tight end, Robert Tongue, has been dealing with a right ankle issue, and I was told just a few moments ago that he is not able to go. So we're watching this during warm-ups, so we can see him running down the field looking fluid. I talked with Noah after that. He said the ankle felt good. He had some tape on it, had a pretty big brace on that right ankle. And then afterwards I said, are you able to run and cut? He said, yeah, but apparently the medical staff had a different opinion. Now, this guy's first 2 games of the season had everybody's attention. 12 catches, 162 yards, and 1 touchdown, and an excellent blocker downfield. So Gary Anderson calling him an important weapon on offense, but Tongue is not available today. Roxy?
All right, Lewis. So, without Noah Tongue, how does that affect this Oregon State offense?
Well, you're not able to stress the center of the field in the same way as you could before. Now, we'll see what happens with Tuliwale Matongi and what he's able to do as a receiver, but he's certainly not as effective as a blocker as Tongi is.
Kicking off for Washington, Tristan Vizcaino, as Oregon State will receive the opening kick. The All Blacks with the orange helmets for the Beavers, traveling whites for UW. For Oregon State, Artavis Pierce on the return, brought down as he crosses the 25-yard line. And it's Oregon State with the football first, and Darrell Garrettson, who makes his 17th career start, the Utah State transfer, in for the injured Jake Luton.
It's very rare in college football to have a backup quarterback as experienced as Darryl Garretson. In addition to that experience, his intangibles are off the charts as well. I mean, even in losing the quarterback battle to Jake Luton during the preseason, he became an extra coach.
Garretson, who made 6 starts last year, but his season interrupted by an ankle injury. And his senior from Chandler, Arizona, opens up with 3 receivers. Seth Collins in motion for Oregon State, and the shuffle pass. Wiley Matungi, who is getting the start in place of the injured Tongiai, and a short gain for Oregon State.
I like that. You call right here because you anticipate the defense will react to Seth Collins coming across, and it's a nice way to get Wiley Matungi involved in the game plan early on.
Pickup of 6 to Tuli. Wiley Matungi, sophomore from Laie, Hawaii, from the 34. Garretson at quarterback for 1-3 Oregon State against 4-0 Washington. This terrific Husky defense. Garretson to the outside, and it's Ryan Nall out of the backfield, brought down shy of a first down. As we take a look at our Wendy's difference makers when Oregon State has the football.
We're looking at Keyshawn Bierria. He combines with Azim Victor as one of the top inside linebacker corps in the country, but Bierria, being healthy, he's really played well. Jordan Billiman on the outside. They call him Billytron because he's got that 6'5" frame. Had a couple of big games this season, looking for him to be more consistently explosive in the passing game.
3rd down and 2 for Oregon State. They've actually been pretty good on 3rd down this year, believe it or not, with their struggles. But on 3rd down, they give it the Wildcat look with Ryan Nall fighting his way for a first down. We call that the Angry Beaver instead of the Wildcat?
I would be happy to do so. And you see the patience by Ryan Nall. He didn't just go barreling it up inside, and part of the reason for that is because you've got those 330, 340 pounders on the interior, so you allow your blockers to try and determine the hole for you.
The Beavers have been converting 44% of their 3rd downs, and they convert that one to move the chains out to the 41. 4 receivers, including the tight end, Wiley Matungi.
There's 340 to 2-point stance coming at you.
Screen tipped, and it's Ryan Nall who made a nice effort to try to get it. Azim Victor was the Washington player that deflected the pass from Garretson, who was trying to take that one back for a pick 6.
This is one of the wrinkles defensively they've started to add. We're seeing Azim Victor more and more coming off the edge. Washington doesn't necessarily have a lot of great individual edge rushers. They do a nice job collapsing the pocket in a group rush mentality.
So split backs now is Ryan Nall's company. And it's Artavis Pierce in the backfield. We saw this a number of times 2 weeks ago when Oregon State was at Wazoo. This is Ryan Nall straight ahead, nothing there. Runs right into the defensive front for the Huskies, led by Levi Onwuzurike. So the redshirt freshman from Allen, Texas, leading the charge for Washington for his 3rd and long.
I reference Washington not having great individual pass rushers. They're very beefy up front. They do have a player in Ryan Bowman who's starting to show some more ability as an edge rusher. He's going to be one-on-one here on 3rd and long.
Bowman, the redshirt freshman, who is a walk-on, standing up as an edge rusher. He got back. Garretson from the pocket. And it's incomplete, looking for Jordan Billiman, and that's 4th down. Punting unit comes on for Oregon State. And Nick Perebski, the sophomore from Melbourne, Australia, averages just under 38 yards a kick. And this is always a challenge when you have Dante Pettis back to return for Washington, who has 8 career punt returns for touchdowns, which has tied the NCAA record, and 3 already this year. There's a rugby-style kick. There's a flag down where Perebski launched it, and it gets over the head of Pettis, takes an Oregon State bounce, and it's down inside the 1. There is a flag back where Perebski punted the football. They're going to spot it at the 2, but we'll check the flag as Sean Constantine may have run into it.
Number 34 of the receiving team, the penalty is declined. First down.
And it was the 5-yard variety.
We'll see this throughout the day from Porepsky. Just a slight movement towards the lateral side. They certainly did run into him, no doubt about that. Right call from Gary Anderson, though, because you got such an excellent punt to pin your opponent down.
Terry Layden, our referee today at Reser Stadium, and backs up Jake Browning in the Washington offense. They'll start this drive at the 2-yard line. The junior from Granite Bay, California, near Sacramento, completed 70% of his passes this season, 9 touchdowns for the junior quarterback Browning. 4th in Washington history already in passing. To the outside to Will Dissly, the tight end. Breaking tackles out near the 15. First down, UW.
It's the dream of every defensive lineman to suddenly get moved over to tight end, and then just as you develop at the position as Will Dissly has, now he's a true member of this Dogs passing offense. A couple of years ago, he's nothing but a blocker. It was almost funny when you'd see him get the ball out in space.
Was that your dream, to play tight end?
Oh, no doubt. I'll admit that happily. Throw me the rock.
Here's Myles Gaskin trying to stretch it to the outside. And Gaskin, nifty running out to the 25, and another first down for Washington.
We're going to continue to see variations of the power, just like we talked about in the open. Nick Harris pulled around there, and he didn't get a crushing block. But as long as you can seal the edge and not allow penetration to the play side, then that puller can eat up additional blocks, and Myles Gaskin has the vision.
So Gaskin, who is averaging 7 yards per carry, moves the chains. Hunter Bryant in motion for the Huskies. And the pass out to Dante Pettis toward the sideline. Run out shy of a first down. Isaiah Dunn, the freshman corner, pushed him out. The difference makers when Washington has the football.
Coleman Shelton has been playing as well as any center in the Pac-12 conference, and he's a guy who previously played a multitude of spots up front for the Dogs. And Baker Pritchard's been really good, especially the last few weeks. He's playing the best football of his career so far. He's going to have to be really good today.
The difference makers presented by Wendy's. 2nd down 3. Huskies at the Washington 32. Still 10 on the play clock for Browning. Gaskin appears to be a bit shy of the first down. Bright Ugwebu along with Kalani Vakamelalo for Oregon State on the tackle.
Recognize the movement they got there at the point of attack. We're seeing a little bit of hurry up happening here now. Adjustment in tempo.
On 3rd down. Should be enough for a Washington first down as the Huskies go straight ahead with Gaskin.
Initially had him stacked up for no gain, maybe even a loss, but you saw the leg drive there towards the end of the play from Gaskin. It's only about 190 pounds.
From the 36, 1st and 10 Huskies. Began this drive at their own 2. Washington offense operating without Drew Sample today. As Browning takes a deep shot down the sideline. And it's caught. Quentin Pounds with the catch for the Huskies.
Pre-snap, Jake Browning observed the defense, said, I see a one-on-one matchup on the outside with Quentin Pounds, who's shown the ability to make these sorts of athletic, acrobatic one-on-one grabs.
40 yards from Browning to Pounds, who caught a touchdown last week in Boulder. Washington at the Oregon State 24. Bryant goes in motion. After the play action, Dante Pettis. Breaking tackles, Pettis finally pushed out of bounds. It appeared that Oregon State was going to track him down for a minimal gain as Xavier Crawford was out there in coverage for Oregon State, and he missed the tackle in the open field.
See them continue to move Dante Pettis around. It's one of the things they do very effectively. You won't often see offenses at the collegiate level move receivers around in so many different spots as you see Washington doing.
First down for the Huskies at the Beavers 14 and their first drive. Browning keeps. Browning slides near the 10. Chased down by Jalen Moore is Jake Browning, whose dad Ed was a starting quarterback for Oregon State, the late 80s, early 90s. So there is some Oregon State-Washington history in the Browning family, although you have to assume Ed is all decked out in purple and gold today.
It's funny, talking to Jacob about it. He did grow up an OSU Beavers fan.
Second and 7. Play action. Browning fires for the end zone, and Pettis can't make the acrobatic catch. It was a bit high from Browning.
One thing you won't normally see is Jake Browning be late on a read. You're going to see Pettis appear from the right side of your screen. And he could have let this go a little bit earlier because Pettis was open the entire way. Jake Browning was just a bit late on that.
Huskies have been just okay on third down, despite their 4-0 record. Offense is 11th in the country in scoring at 44.5 points per game. They're looking to score on their initial drive here today. Browning, good protection. On the move. Now he'll run. Jake Browning for the corner. He's in. Touchdown, Washington.
Spoke to Kevin Clune, the OSU defensive coordinator. What concerns you about Jake Browning? He highlighted all the things about his mental aptitude, his accuracy, an underappreciated part of Jake Browning's game, his mobility.
Second rushing touchdown this season for Browning, capping a 98-yard drive for the Huskies. Tristan Vizcaino, the senior from Southern California, for the extra point. And the line drive goes through, and a 7-0 lead for UW. An impressive opening drive from Jake Browning and the Washington offense.
Rating Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. What can Browning do for you? His consistent accuracy is something that stands out on film. But when you go beyond just the accuracy of Jake Browning, you see the courage under fire. When he's under duress and pass rushers are all over, still able to deliver the football. Then from there, the elite information processor that is the mind, the beautiful mind of Jake Browning.
So Jake Browning, his second rushing touchdown of the year, a 98-yard drive after a good punt for Nick Poretsky backed up the Huskies. Didn't matter, they just went further down the field. Tristan Vizcaino, the kickoff. And Kessie Ahoy, the freshman from the 3. And Ahoy brings it out to the 20-yard line. And let's go back to the touchdown run by Browning.
Well, even during the snap, because, you know, the ball gets snapped and his mind is working, the wheels are spinning, he doesn't like what he sees, so first play is over. Now uses his mobility to begin the second phase of this offensive snap. Tells Will Dinsley there's one guy out there, needs you to pick him up. As he directs traffic, he's able to get just inside that pylon.
Beavers from their own 20 with Garrettson at quarterback. Ryan Nall, the running back. In motion, Artavis Pierce. It's Ryan Nall straight ahead, and Nall, who did not play last season in Seattle when the Huskies controlled the football game. And Nall gets about 3 for Oregon State, the junior from Sandy, Oregon. Gary Anderson in his third year in Corvallis. His teams over his coaching career at Utah State and Oregon State, he is 7-1 coming off of a bye. And Oregon State coming off a bye, losing in Pullman 2 weeks ago. On second down, again it's Nall, but he runs right into the line. Minimal gain, Jared Pulu there, along with Connor O'Brien for the Huskies. And it's third down for the Beavers.
And they're walking linebackers into the A-gap. Azim Victor is fairly intimidating in all areas of the field, but there, when he's that close to the line of scrimmage, it should allow the offensive line to know their blocking surface, but he's able to slip that block and go back door on Sumner Houston so effectively still end up making a tackle on the play, even though he's predetermined his alignment.
Third down for Garrettson. Throws it underneath, incomplete, looking for Villeman. Nazim Victor in coverage for Washington, and that crossing route seemed to confuse not just the defense, but the offense as well right there.
Well, coming off a bye week, so there's a few wrinkles that they've added offensively. Like Jordan Villeman, we've been seeing him lining up to both sides of the field now, where previously they'd sort of featured Villeman on the left side. You would think where they've had some extra time to work out a few kinks, things will continue to look more sharp for OSU.
3 and out, Nick Porevsky. Rugby kick. Decent hang time. Pettis lets it bounce, and it takes an Oregon State roll. Twice we've seen Porevsky benefit from the rugby punt and a bounce for a 57-yard punt for Porevsky, his longest of the season. Well, the Beavers kick it away from Dante Pettis. 7-0 Washington with the lead over Oregon State. So Pettis, the son of a major leaguer, Gary Pettis, and here's the breakdown on his reception so far this year from our friends at PFF College.
It's been really effective the way they've been able to use him in the short, intermediate, and deep passing game. And as I referenced earlier, one of the things they do is to continue to move him around. We've seen one reception on the right side as a Z, another on the left side as an X, all the way on the outside. We'll see him in the slot.
Here's Myles Gaskin, a short gain. Right, Ugwebu on the tackle for Oregon State.
With so many of these spread offenses in college, quite frequently you'll see receivers, all they do is line up outside on the left, or then they line up outside on the right. And if you're a slot, you're always in the slot. But for offenses like Washington, it's very impressive the way they have people playing a hybrid, a multitude of various positions.
2 tight ends on 2nd down 7. The 20-yard line for Jake Browning. Browning, pass behind Aaron Fuller, who adjusts and makes the catch right near the marker for the Huskies. And it's a first down.
They're quickly back over the ball here. Change move, going tempo.
On the ground, it's Gaskin. Ugwebu, first man there for Oregon State. Short gain for Myles Gaskin, the junior from Linwood, Washington, who's had 1,300-plus yards in each of his first 2 seasons with the Huskies.
Playing, starting as a true freshman. Again, I don't think we can underline enough. The guy's only about 190 pounds, but you always see him finishing runs, falling forward. It just shows the lower body power of Myles Gaskin.
Play action for Browning. And he gets wrapped up and goes down. Anjay Hughes Murray, the Federal Way Washington product, with his first sack of the season.
Initially, Coleman Shelton's in good shape, and then from there, once Hughes Murray starts to beat Jesse Soulsby inside, he was able to collapse the pocket between 2 different offensive linemen for the Dogs. It was almost like Shelton thought Soulsby had him taken care of, so then he allowed that left shoulder to go limp, and Hughes Murray took advantage.
So the Beavers, who did not have a sack through the first 3 games, had 3 last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, against Washington State. Browning on 3rd down under pressure. Escapes. Browning will run. And Browning brought down well shy of a first down. Manasseh Hungalu, along with Sean Wilson, chasing down the Huskies quarterback.
This is impressive because the pass rush from Oregon State had been subpar in the initial weeks, but as you referenced, Roxy, the last couple of games, they've started to be able to attack the pocket with more consistency.
Joel Whitford, the punter, the Aussie, for the Huskies. And his rugby-style punt. Calling for a fair catch and dropping to a knee is Seth Collins in Oregon State football. 7-0 the Huskies, leading Oregon State in Corvallis.
And we're back in Corvallis, Oregon. It's a big football weekend here, but we're also talking baseball here with Pat Casey, his team here celebrating a Pac-12 championship in baseball and a record 6 run to the World Series, the College World Series, I should say. Pat, first of all, the moment here to get these rings to celebrate what you guys accomplished so far this season.
Well, it's just great. You know, our guys had a great year last year, and we're excited for them, and have an opportunity to share it in front of Beaver Nation is pretty good.
What was it like to go a record 56-6 off the dynamic pitching and other positions that you had that just played so well?
It was awesome, man. We came out every day and played well. You know, I was excited about this. These guys, we were all talking about getting a ring, so, you know, we're looking to maybe upgrade a little bit this year. Maybe we can do it again. So, but I give them the credit, man. Our team was unbelievable, and I wish they could all be here. Obviously, some guys are out playing, but outstanding group of guys. Just came every day to win 56 or 62 games. I'll probably never see that again.
You know, speaking of dynamic, you see this great crowd here. I was told by some of the players standing behind you that you had incredible support there in Omaha. How special was that to have Beaver Nation there to support you guys?
Well, we know how they're going to show up because they show up for them here at Goss, and they follow us around pretty good. So we figured that Omaha was a pretty good party. So we had a good time. So it was good to have Beaver Nation with us, and I don't know if there's any better place in the country to play baseball than Goss Stadium.
Awesome. Hey, guys, Coach, how's he doing for interviews? Pretty good?
Yeah.
There you go, Coach.
They have to say that.
They better say it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great stuff, Lewis, with Pat Casey, the legendary Oregon State coach. Pac-12 baseball champs going to Omaha last year. We're the #1 team for the majority of the college baseball season last year. 3rd down and 9 for Darryl Garrettson in the Oregon State offense. On the 27-yard line.
I'm seeing Washington lined up looking like man. They love to go trap coverages though when you come off of man.
Screen set up to Ryan Nall. Nall gets a block, and Ryan Nall runs for a Beavers first down. Taylor Rapp with the tackle, but it moves the sticks for the Beavers.
One of the things that sprung Ryan Nall here, not just allowing the pass rush in for a moment, but then Timmy Hernandez, great block out in the open field, able to keep Miles Bryant away from making the tackle just long enough. And this secondary, I mean, consistently a Pete Kwiatkowski defense, the Washington defensive coordinator. They all attack blocks, get on and off blocks, as good as any secondary in the country. So well done by Hernandez.
They don't blitz much, but offensive coordinator Kevin McGibbon for Oregon State guessed right that time and had the right play dialed up. Artavis Pierce, reverse. This is Collins, tripped up behind the line. Tavis Bartlett staying home with a big tackle for loss for the Washington Huskies.
These outside linebackers, they're so good at staying home. You saw Bartlett there. Kept his shoulder square for just a moment, shuffled down, then saw the reverse coming backside, made the play. That's well executed.
His second tackle for loss in this drive. Junior from Cheyenne, Wyoming. 2nd down and 19, a loss of 9. First down play. Garrettson dumps it off. It's Nall. And Nall quickly brought down by JoJo McIntosh, the safety coming up. And it's 3rd down for Oregon State, and that may have been the final play of the first quarter. And that was the final play of the quarter. So number 6 Washington leading Gary Anderson. And Oregon State 7-zip through 1. 3rd down coming up as we start the second for the Beavers. This Pac-12 football game is brought to you by Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Prudential. We start the second quarter, 7-0. Number 6 Washington leading Oregon State. Along with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you at Reser Stadium in Corvallis. And this is the starts that Washington has gotten off to under Chris Peterson against Oregon State.
It's been far more dominant before today. I would say most people wouldn't have anticipated maybe up to this point in the game Oregon State would hang in the way they have.
3rd down and 13. And it play action. Garrettson fires incomplete, looking for Collins, who wants a flag. Jordan Miller in coverage for Washington. Tight window there.
seen here so far today, Seth Collins more so working as an outside receiver. That seems to be where he's most comfortable. He came back in the lineup in their last game 2 weeks ago. Played him more in the slot. He's not quite as precise with his route running yet to be effective as a slot receiver.
Could have made a case for targeting there, as there appeared to be some contact with the head of Collins. Perevsky, shorter punt. Pettis calling for a fair catch and makes it at the Washington 22-yard line after a 39-yard punt as we check in with Lewis.
Well, Roxy, most Pac-12 football programs have been managing the tough balance between academics and football for weeks now. But the Washington Huskies student body is just beginning classes on Wednesday of this week because they are on the quarter system. So that means that the entire football team, they were taking the field today having just finished their first half of week of classes. Of course, that means homework and everything that comes with that. So in this edition of Beyond the Hash Marks, we focus on one of those guys. It's outside linebacker Tevis Bartlett in a fairly new major at Washington. It's Education, Communities, and Organization. Tevis told me that he intends on becoming a teacher, football and wrestling coach, and a future administrator in education. Now, where does he get this from? Both his parents. His dad, David, was a teacher and coach, now the superintendent of Laramie County School District in Wyoming. And his mom, Fawn, was a volleyball teacher and coach, and is now the assistant principal at East High School there in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So Tevis is saying, listen, his parents raised him with a love for helping kids, wants to see them learn and grow, and he's done things like leading youth wrestling practices when he was just 12 years old, has a tremendous grade point average right now at school, 3.66, on the Dean's List, honor roll. Tevis exemplifying the academic excellence he wants to inspire in others.
All right, Lewis, and he was an all-state wrestler growing up in Wyoming as a screen pass out to Dante Pettis. And this is always an interesting week in terms of for schools that on the quarter system, for example, Washington just starting classes this week, and you wonder mentally where they're at with everything that's going on. And I think Chris Peterson a little concerned about that this week. Jake Browning under pressure, and the alley-oop attempt, trying to get it to Braden Lennius, and there's a flag. Sean Wilson in coverage for Oregon State.
Pass interference. Number 2, the defense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Crowd didn't like it. Sean Wilson called for a PI.
One of those situations where it's incumbent upon the defender not to get too antsy because the ball's floating, and Braden Lennius had inside position on Sean Wilson. If Wilson could have just remained calm, I think he would have been in a better position to make the play without trying to drag Lennius down.
First down at the 36. Play clock rolling down. Just getting it off. Browning hangs in the pocket, dumps it off underneath Will Dissly. And Dissly banging his way out near the 45-yard line. It takes a whole gang, that Oregon State defense, to bring him down. Elu aided there along with Jonathan Willis and a few others for the Beavers. Second and short. Pettis on the wide receiver screen, and Pettis running into Oregon State territory, and a first down. Bright Ugwebu on the tackle.
Even though there were 3 Oregon State defenders in position as they pursued Dante Pettis, as he made the reception, he hit top gear so quickly, still able to pick up the first down.
At the Beavers 49. Von Coleman goes split out, now motions back into the backfield. Coleman takes the handoff, and Coleman tripped up as he was just getting started by Austin Hudson.
Caleb McGarry, the right tackle for Washington, has been really good early in this game. It's one thing to stalemate the defender. McGarry's been moving the line of scrimmage back. They've been gaining massive yards on the right side so far.
McGarry, the junior from Fife, Washington's 25th career start here this afternoon into early evening. Gaskin and Coleman in the game together. And this is Gaskin hit at the line and brought down. Nice surge from Oregon State. Isa Savea the stop.
You don't see as much penetration into the backfield, but what was so effective there was Savea went backdoor on the block. It was a zone blocking scheme. He couldn't beat the offensive lineman across his face, so he went backdoor and made the play.
3rd and 5. Savon Ahmed in the game, goes split out. And he takes the pass. Ahmed tripped up, brought down. Bright Ugwebu, the first man there for Oregon State. Austin Hudson helping out.
Been so impressed with Austin Hudson the last couple of weeks. Ugwebu was right there to begin making the play. And Hudson has been really good at reading plays like that to the perimeter on the fly.
4th and 5, the offense stays out there for Washington.
Quick kick.
Now Browning backs up. And Gary Anderson gets a timeout before the snap. Oregon State burns a timeout. 10:54 to go in this second quarter. And it's still a 7-0 lead for Washington. Jake Browning, the only scorer, a touchdown run. The Beavers hanging with number 6 Washington. Turning into a nice evening in Corvallis. Had some rain earlier, but a pleasant night for football. At Reser Stadium, 7-0 lead for number 6 Washington over Oregon State. And a 4th down after the timeout. Joel Whitford, the punter, comes out for the Huskies. Timmy Hernandez, the return man, anchor to the Beavers 10. And Whitford, end-over-end punt. Hernandez lets it sail over his head, bouncing and keeping it out of the end zone. And the Huskies down it at the 1. And now a touchback signal, a late touchback signal from our crew here. We'll give the ball to Oregon State at the 20-yard line. Very close, Ant.
Really was. Seeing Nick Porepsky putting on a show for the Beavs. Joe Whitford not able to equal it.
Number 6 Washington leading 7-0. 10:41 to go, second quarter. Oregon State at their own 20-yard line with Darrell Gerritsen at quarterback. On the ground, straight ahead. Artavis Pierce gets to the second level. Ezekiel Turner finally brought him down. 22 yards.
We've seen patient running with Ryan Nall in there, and here Pierce with much more burst initially, so it's a different tempo. A literal change of pace with the new ball carrier in the backfield. And now that Oregon State is approaching midfield, I think this could be a good situation. Maybe you get a flea flicker or some sort of a double move happening.
Nall and Pierce in the game together. Now Pierce motions out. It's Ryan Nall powering his way straight ahead. Picks up about 3. Ben Burke-Kirven, first man there for Washington.
Oregon State has been the least explosive offense in the Pac-12 coming into this weekend. They just don't pick up many chunk plays of 20 yards or more. I think now that they've gotten that run game going, they've shown the willingness just to be stubborn handing the football off. You need to find a way to utilize that to pick up a chunk play.
On second down, Pierce in motion. Gerritsen out of the backfield. It's Nall, and a short pickup wrapped up by Ben Burke-Kirven. And it's third down. Do you notice anything different with the Oregon State offense with Gerritsen a quarterback?
Well, we haven't seen him really use his legs that much, and that was something I anticipated we would see. But so far, he's really been operating from within the pocket. I think especially, even if it's not some read zones where he's becoming a running back, even just moving the pocket, varying the launch point with some sprint action, some things where his mobility puts a different type of pressure on the defense.
3rd and 4 on the Beavers' 48. Here's the split out. Blitz coming off the edge. Garrettson will tuck it and try to run for it, and brought down after a gain of 1. Taylor Rapp came blitzing and got to the quarterback, also Vita Vea there for Washington.
And precisely to the question you're asking, Roxy, I mean, you know, when Jake Luton's in the lineup and he's 6'7", 235 pounds, he's not nearly as mobile as Garrettson, you anticipate Luton will be sort of a more sitting duck in the pocket. I think they need to find ways to get Daryl Garrettson on the move.
Porepsky will punt. Pettis standing inside the Washington 10. This is a line drive kick, but Pettis lets it bounce and takes a sideways bounce and down running out of bounds at the 5 by Connor Kelsey, the long snapper, hustling down the field. 46-yard punt. Nick Porepsky, the standout so far for the Beavers.
Get him, punter.
I got a mortgage offer from the bank today.
What? You never just get one offer. Go to LendingTree.com and shop multiple loan offers for free.
Free?
Yeah, could save thousands. You should probably buy me dinner.
No.
Go to LendingTree.com for a new home loan or refinance. Receive up to 5 free offers and choose the loan that's right for you. Our average customer could lower their monthly bills by over $300. Go to LendingTree.com right now.
How should we choose where to go next?
Mark's dad's house?
Bingo!
Let's just let Destiny take the wheel. Destiny.
Yo!
You're driving.
I am?
No matter where you go, 76 has everything you need to get there.
During the Yellow Tag sales event, you can get $3,500 off a hard day's play. $700 off select Mud Spa packages for 2. And up to $1,300 off family packs of venison. Save on a world of possibilities with deals on select 2017 Can-Am vehicles. Only until October 31st at your local Can-Am dealer.
I'm here to tell you about KFC's Honey Mustard Barbecue Georgia Gold.
No, tell them about Nashville Hot.
Who said that?
Nashville Hot.
I will wash your mouth out with sweet and tangy chicken.
Try it. You go prove again.
Georgia Gold.
Nashville Hot.
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 What have I become? Try both Georgia Gold and Nashville Hot at KFC.
7-zip, Washington leading Oregon State as the Huskies backed up at their own 5. Let's look around the Pac-12, driven by Can-Am and Washington State after that big win over SC last night. 5-0, their best start since 2001. The Utes are also unbeaten, and so is number 6 Washington, as the Huskies at 4-0 coming in, backed up at their own 5-yard line. Play action, Browning, launching it for Pettis, who stopped, was looking for a flag, and it's incomplete. That was a smart play by Pettis, trying to get contact for pass interference.
A lot of times when a deep ball is underthrown, that's what ends up picking up the flag. I'm not quite sure why Jay Irvine didn't draw a flag on that one. Pettis slowed up. Irvine ran into him. Pettis didn't have a shot at the reception. Usually would equal pass interference.
And Pettis came hobbling off the field there as the second down play is a run with Levon Coleman. And he picks his way out to the 10-yard line. Jonathan Willis, along with Manasseh Hungalu on the tackle for Oregon State. And keep in mind a Washington receiving corps that's a bit depleted. The injury to Chico McClatcher last week. Andre Bocelli's not here. And Pettis, when hobbling off, is getting looked at by the training staff on the Washington sideline. Third and 4. Browning under pressure. Escapes. Will tuck it and run. and get the first down and runs out of bounds to move the sticks for the Huskies.
It was so interesting talking to Kevin Clune, the Beavers defensive coordinator, about everything that folks normally observe about Jake Browning, but he went out of his way to point out the way that Browning extends plays, the way that he gets second and third opportunities within the same snap because of his mobility that's so underappreciated. I think it's even enhanced this season with the level of additional comfort he has within this system.
Out to the 17. Hunter Bryant in motion. Browning play action. Lobs it downfield. And it's incomplete. Tried to get it to Aaron Fuller. And Fuller got his helmet turned around there on the play and nearly made a sensational grab for the Huskies.
I'm not sure I've seen a helmet do this very often. Mine certainly did. My head was too big for it. Completely turned around on his head.
Now, he doesn't have to set up play, right? Because the helmet stayed on, even though it got turned around. Barru his helmet. Levon Coleman spun around. Stood up. Manasseh Hungalu and Bright Ugwebu for Oregon State. They've been active for the Beavers.
Kevin Clune has said for multiple weeks, Manasseh Hungalu has another gear available to his game. Hungalu knows it as well as anyone.
Confusion for the Oregon State defense. Browning tries to take advantage of it, and he does. There's a flag. Braden Lennius, the receiver. They're saying incomplete. The officials are talking near where Lennius went after the football.
That's so Chris Peterson. It's so Jake Browning.
And it is incomplete with Kyle White in coverage, but there was a flag down.
Well, it's a legal substitution. They had too many men on the field for Oregon State's defense because suddenly, out of nowhere, with nearly no planning at all, they went into hurry-up mode as Oregon State was attempting to make a substitution.
Terry Layden, our referee, and by the way, Dante Pettis did return to the field last couple of plays.
The defense, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So it's holding against the defense, not a substitution infraction.
It certainly looked like there were extra bodies on the field for Oregon State, but maybe they got off narrowly in time. But even without that being the flag, just the fact that they caught the defense off guard in that manner, that's why you get the secondary in a position where they need to either hold or give up a touchdown pass.
From the 29, Will Dissly, the motion man. Out to Pettis. Pettis to the sideline. He's run out. Xavier Crawford, the corner, pushed him out for Oregon State. So the Washington offense that averages 44.5 points per game, and here we are with just under 6 minutes to go in the first half, and they have just 7 against an Oregon State defense that ranks 126 out of 130 teams in the FBS. They give up 47.5 points per game. Second down. Dancing to the outside, it's Coleman. And he's brought down near the marker, should have enough by Xavier Crawford. Here's a scoring offense and defense for the Huskies. That's pretty good when you're the top 11 on both sides of the football.
Look back to last season, the entire year amongst the tops in the Pac-12, scoring offense and scoring defense, just dominant on both sides of the ball.
Dante Pettis in motion. First and 10 from the 40. Browning, and it's tipped. At the line, there's a flag.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Number 92, the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Kaisa Savea, the senior from American Samoa, called for the personal foul. Hands to the face. That will put the ball in Oregon State territory. for this Beavers defense. The numbers on the season have not been pretty. They're hanging in there today, but they've allowed 190 points through their first 4 games. It is the highest total ever for a Pac-12 team in the first 4 games played in a season. Will Dissly the catch, spins down to the 20. Jake Browning threads the needle.
I referenced earlier how Dissly, previously a defensive lineman, and he is truly, especially with Drew Sample being out of the lineup right now, so they don't have the depth at tight end they normally like to utilize. But Dissly's lost a few pounds since last year, showing even more mobility and a nimble nature as a pass receiver.
First down and 10. Levon Coleman, the running back. 2 tight ends in the game. Play action for Browning. Under pressure. Browning scrambles, throws for the end zone. It's incomplete. Lennius the intended target. Well, let's go back to the previous play, Andy.
Well, let's look at Dissly, because as he starts from that inline position, he comes off the ball, and it's not like the defense doesn't know where he's at. Jonathan Willis has eyes on him the entire way, but Jake Browning puts the football in position where Dissly's the only one with a shot at it. Then after he makes the grab, has some nifty moves to pick up additional yardage.
Second and 10 from the 19. Levon Coleman, a big hole. Coleman, there's a flag down. Coleman to the end zone, touchdown Washington, but we'll check the flag. It appears to be coming back.
Holding, number 72 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down will be repeated.
Left tackle Trey Adams called for holding. Races the 19-yard touchdown run for Levon Coleman.
I know Chris Peterson is pleased by the fact that Levon Coleman's back in the lineup and healthy this year. Trey Adams played really well the left tackle position this year. Steps down, tries to overtake the defensive end, and as Surveyor tried to disengage, he grabbed a hold of him.
Yep, pretty obvious with that one.
Oregon State has taken their second timeout of the half.
So timeout, Oregon State. 4:06 to go, second quarter. Gary Anderson, the Beavers, trying to hang with number 6, Washington. Here are the KFC Pac-12 standings in the north. Then Washington State with their win last night, the only 2-0 squad. The Huskies have a chance to match them. Stanford picked up their second Pac-12 win, handling ASU today on the farm. Big showdown about 45 minutes south of us coming up a little while. Cal against Oregon. Many of the Beavers at 1-3 overall. It's Pac-12 North battle. Second down 20 for the Huskies after the holding penalty negated the touchdown. Browning to the outside. Pettis coming back. And Pettis inside the 20, gets pushed out of bounds by Jay Irvine. And it's third down for the Huskies at the Oregon State 17.
I'm really impressed by this Oregon State secondary so far. Gary Anderson talked about them simplifying a few things, sticking in some more cover 3 and cover 2 looks. There's a wide variety of coverages that have been getting run by the Beavers earlier in the season. They're keeping it more basic, but the players are playing fast now.
Huskies are 3 of 5 on third down. 3rd and 7, pressure coming. Browning trying to escape. He can't. Finally cleaning him up is Manasseh Hunalu. But an excellent surge by the front from Oregon State.
And initially, pass protection was solid, but the secondary held up so well that it gave Manasseh Hunalu, Radugwebu, time to get home with their pass rush, and Jake Browning couldn't scramble away.
So now a field goal try for Tristan Vizcaino. He is 4 for 7 on the season. 42-yarder straight on. Plenty of leg, and Vizcaino hits the upright.
been a struggle in recent weeks. Vizcaino, you got to remember, coming into this year, he'd mainly been a punter and a kickoff specialist. He's pushed field goals this season. He's pulled field goals this season. No matter how many yards you give up, when the opponent doesn't put points on the board, you want the defense fired up as they come to the sideline.
So at 2:52 left in the half, the Beavers take over at the 25.
I think you hand it off one time and then take a shot play. Jordan Villeman is good enough to take advantage of one-on-one coverage.
On the ground, and the carry goes to Thomas Tyner, who'd missed the last couple of games with a hamstring injury for the Beavers. And the grad transfer from Oregon, who had a medical retirement at Oregon, transferring up to Oregon State. Played 2 years for the Ducks. Remember that team that went to the national championship game a couple of seasons ago. Tyner back in action this week after missing the last two. 2nd and 7. Tyner in motion. Garrettson. And a short pickup, and chopped down was Trevon Bradford by Jordan Miller.
A lot of times you'll just hear people say, hey, they should throw the ball deep more. A lot of that depends on what the defense is allowing you. I do believe there's enough man coverage being shown on the outside from Washington where shot play could be available to the Beavers.
Beavs 2 of 6 on 3rd down. And one timeout remaining inside a minute 45 to go in the half. 3rd and 2. Garrettson on the slant to Villeman. Can't hang on. Austin Joyner and Miles Bryant were there for Washington.
That's the type of play you have to be able to count on a player like Jordan Villeman to make 10 times out of 10. Run that slant coming downhill. He's able to body off the defensive back. Accurate pass. Just couldn't haul it in.
Special teams miscues have been a problem late in the first half for Oregon State. They're hoping it doesn't rear its ugly head here. Perebski will punt. Dante Pettis back to return to the 25. And Perebski with a high end-over-end kick. Pettis makes the fair catch inside the Washington 35-yard line. And they've neutralized Pettis pretty solidly so far in the punt return game to this point. Stick around. The State Farm halftime report coming up. Mike Yam, Nigel Burton, and Eric Allen in our studios. They'll break down the first half. Also have a recap of the enormous day on the farm for Bryce Love. A lot going on in college football on this Saturday. Final Saturday in September. Huskies from the 33. Browning to throw on 1st down. All day to throw. Now flushed out of the pocket. Coming back, Pettis. And he's brought down at the 40. Washington has all 3 timeouts. Now they have 2. So, while Washington takes the timeout, we mentioned Bryce Love, and he had a ridiculous day today against ASU.
301 rushing yards versus the Sun Devils. A large percentage of those of the explosive variety. 7 games in a row with at least 1 carry of 50 yards or more.
He's already over 1,000 yards on the season, and we're still in September.
We saw what Christian McCaffrey did here over the last few seasons with the Stanford Cardinal. And the offensive line for the Cardinal, far more experienced this year. I believe playing at a higher level, and that's part of what's opening up these cavernous running lanes for Bryce Love, even though he's really the main playmaker on their offense right now.
Bryce Love racing his way into the Heisman race with another huge day. On 2nd down, Browning. Broken up, trying to get it to Disley, and a terrific read from Austin Hudson.
That's a good football player. We're seeing Austin Hudson over the last couple of games with zone eyes, both in pass coverage and in the way he's able to support the run, playing some big-time football.
Hudson, the grad transfer from South Florida, began his college career with Gary Anderson at Wisconsin. Third down. Browning pumps. Browning goes down. Manasseh Hungalu. And his second sack today for Hungalu.
Radugwebu ends up twisting all the way around towards the interior, so he's there as well. Hungalu brings him down. There was no escape available as Radugwebu was there too. But there was an opportunity. There was man coverage on the back end. You had multiple receivers, including Aaron Fuller, who had gotten behind the coverage. For some reason, Jake Browning didn't pull the trigger.
Third sack for the Oregon State defense. And again, they did not register a sack in each of their first 3 games this year.
Not used to seeing Jake Browning hold the ball like this in the pocket. He's normally a player, unless it's off play action or there's a shot play that's coming, he's normally one who's able to cut it loose pretty quickly. Here, there have been multiple times in today's game where Browning's held onto the football when there's an opportunity to try to fit it into a receiver or throw it over the top.
Washington takes a timeout. On the other sideline, Seth Collins, you don't think he's passionate and fired up about playing the game, especially today? Here's what Collins did during the last timeout.
You love the passion, as long as it's being channeled in a positive way. You see all the teammates. We've seen it over the course of weeks now. Seth Collins, his story, true freshman starting quarterback, and everything that's been involved in his journey to get back on the field for the Beavers.
He's back to return with Timmy Hernandez as Joel Whitford the punt. And Collins moves away from it, so does Hernandez. They'll just let this roll until Washington downs it. Inside the 15-yard line. 12 seconds left in the half. And the Oregon State offense coming back out there to probably just take a knee and get to the locker room. And if you're Gary Anderson and it's 7-0 here, you have to be encouraged by what you see. You only have 67 yards in total offense, but you're only down a touchdown.
I'd be pleased as punch if I was Gary Anderson for a 7-0 ball game going into the locker room at halftime. Now, of course, there's a lot of football remaining to be played.
Washington will get the kick when we start the second half as Garrettson takes a knee, and that should take us to halftime. And a 7-0 lead for number 6 Washington. As Oregon State, the Beavers playing the Huskies tough here. The physical defensive battle here for the first 30 minutes at Reser Stadium as we check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Coach, you guys average a pretty large amount of points per game. What has been the challenge to get this offense going here so far?
We got to score in the red zone. We're driving the ball. We just not capitalize on some third downs in red zone.
All right, you're holding them to 67 points of offense in this first half. Pleased with the way the defense has been playing?
Playing real good. We just got to score a few more points.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Roxy?
All right, Lewis. So, Chris Peterson, concerned that his team is getting a battle from Oregon State.
Don't let that aw shucks demeanor he showed to Lewis Johnson fool you. I think it might be a fiery locker room at the half. Some corrections to be made.
Number 6, Washington, a 7-0 lead at the half in Corvallis. We now send you to the studio, the State Farm Halftime Report with Mike Yam.
World.
Getting ready for the start of the third quarter in Corvallis is number 6 Washington in a tight one with Oregon State. 7-0 the Huskies leading the Beavers, along with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you. And in the first half, Oregon State had only 65 yards of total offense. How are they in this football game?
Well, it's turned into a defensive struggle here at Reser Stadium. And what I like about the way they've operated defensively, their coverage has done enough to allow that pass rush that struggled early in the season to start to get home on Jake Browning. We've seen Manasseh Hungalu getting home. We've seen Radugwebu making his way into the backfield as well. But there have been some missed opportunities for the Dogs here. red zone, first quarter. Jake Browning, he's got Dante Pettis in open lane in the end zone, sees it, cuts it loose a little bit late. Ball goes out the back of the end zone. Towards the end of the first half, an opportunity with 4 verticals. Maybe he could have hit Aaron Fuller up the seam. There was a safety in position, but that's the type of pass that we've seen Jake Browning fit into tight windows before.
Beavers kicking off to start the third quarter with Jordan Schuker, and the sophomore sends it deep from the 1. Sean McGrew, backup running back, met as he crosses the 10. Outstanding coverage from Oregon State. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Roxy, we saw that emotion out of Gary Anderson there toward the end of the second quarter off that missed field goal by Washington, holding him just to 7 points. And as Anthony was alluding to there, as you look back at the plays, I asked Anderson, how do you keep the pressure up and how do you continue to succeed? He said, we have to keep changing up the calls on our defense, safeties disguising what they're doing to keep that pressure on Jake Browning. And to avoiding the second half collapses they've had, he said those have just been self-inflicted wounds, mistakes. If we don't do that, we'll be okay. And he loves the fight in his players tonight.
Deep shot from Browning on play action. There's a late flag coming in as Dante Pettis, the intended target.
Almost thought Jay Irvine was going to get away with another one here.
Pass interference. Number 6 in the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Irvine hobbling off for Oregon State.
Running with Dante Pettis. As Pettis got the step on him, it's pretty obvious right there. Irvine just reaching out with the inside hand, tugging him back. Maybe one tug you can kind of get away with. Once you get to 2 and 3 different tugs, you're asking to get a flag.
4th penalty against Oregon State. Ball comes out to the 28 for the Huskies. Play action for Browning. And the tight end, Hunter Bryant, with the catch into Oregon State territory. It's a couple of deep throws for the Huskies to start the second half.
It makes sense. As we highlighted just coming out of the halftime there, these are the opportunities that have been available to Washington where Jake Browning just wasn't cutting it loose on a few of them.
And tempo, throwing on first down. Another deep ball from Browning. And it's incomplete. There's a flag. Quentin Pounds, the intended target. Xavier Crawford in coverage.
Pass interference. Number 5 in the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
We saw the pass on the opening drive, the 40-yarder that went to Quentin Pounds, and it sort of foreshadowed the thought that Washington may attempt that throughout the game. And they sort of went away from those attempts in the first half, but now on this opening drive of the second, they're going back to it.
Empty backfield for Browning, and now motioning into the backfield is Myles Gaskin. Only 21 yards rushing for Gaskin in the first half. Dante Pettis through his hands. A high throw from Browning. Austin Hudson coming up to apply pressure defensively. And here are the second half struggles for Gary Anderson and Oregon State, as the Beavers have allowed 24 or more points in the second half of each of their first 4 games.
The rub, when you simplify things from a defensive standpoint, it allows your defense to play fast. It also allows your opponent to game plan against you in a more simple fashion.
Gaskin is 8 yards behind the line. Gets the handoff, and Gaskin picking his way down to the 21. He gets 4. Bring up third down and 6 for the Huskies. The only score so far in this game was a touchdown run from Jake Browning in the first half. Some missed opportunities for Washington. Tristan Vizcaino hitting the upright on a field goal, but unable to sustain much after that 98-yard drive to start the day for the Washington offense. Gaskin into the backfield on third down. And Gaskin hit behind the line and dropped. The surge by Key Wetzel along with Jonathan Willis for the Beavers.
Well, while you respect the mobility of Jake Browning in passing scenarios, the zone read isn't something that defenses are really going to bite on him being a potential ball carrier.
So on 4th and 10 at the Oregon State 25, Chris Peterson leaves the offense on the field and Levon Coleman at running back.
Tristan Vizcaino has struggled over the last couple of ball games. It shows he'd rather have it in Browning's hands.
And on the ground, Coleman runs for a first down and more. First and goal, Huskies. How about that call in on 4th and 10, and they keep it on the ground with Coleman.
The confidence he has, not only in Jake Browning, but in Caleb McGarry as well, the right side of that offensive line, making it happen. They wall it off. McGarry goes, picks up a second block. Now the Dogs back over the ball.
Browning for the end zone. Pettis! Touchdown, Washington!
Like sharks smelling blood in the water. When your defense is discombobulated, Washington repeatedly got right back over the ball and taking advantage of just situational tempo.
Van Soderberg kicking the extra point. And he nails it. Not Vizcaino, but Soderberg for the extra point, and the Huskies go up 2 scores.
Jake Browning can attack the defensive latitude and longitude in a way that most quarterbacks just cannot. When you got a playmaker like Dante Pettis, it's look out.
Let's look at the Buick scoring drive as Dante Pettis with a 5-yard touchdown catch and a 14-0 lead for Washington. So Jake Browning is thrown and run for a touchdown today. And the backbreaker, and for Oregon State, you've got it 4th and 10 with a chance for your defense to get off the field, and Washington runs for a first down with Levon Coleman.
They can hit you so many different ways. A variety of body blows just add up throughout a game.
Tristan Vizcaino, who did not kick the extra point, kicks off. Artavis Pierce on the return. And Pierce knocked out before he gets to the 25-yard line. As the numbers for Jake Browning continue to pile up. 4 touchdown passes in each of his first 2 career games against his dad's alma mater, Oregon State. And Jake Browning leading this Washington team. And Browning, who last year finished 6th in the Heisman voting, was the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. Last year, tied a Pac-12 record. He threw 43 touchdowns. Of course, the Huskies made the college football playoff, losing in the Peach Bowl to Alabama. Darrell Garrettson on first down, hands it off to Ryan Nall. And Nall maybe got a yard. Tevis Bartlett there for Washington, along with Azim Victor and Vita Vea.
I'm going to go back to my previous point, and not that they need to drop Darrell Garrettson back and make him a volume passer, but find situations to take advantage of one-on-one matchups on the outside. At least the potential for a shot play. And right now, showing cover 2, so you're not really seeing it in this moment. When they go single high, you've got to give Jordan Villeman a shot.
Again with Nall. Nall across the 25. Tevis Bartlett there for Washington. Bring up third down as the Huskies have won the last 5 in this series. But previous to this last push by Washington, Oregon State won 7 out of 8. The last 5 Washington has won by an average of nearly 28 points per game. Won last year at Seattle, 41-17. Ryan Nall did not play in that game for Oregon State. Jake Browning, nearly 300 yards with those 4 touchdowns. On 3rd and 6, Garrettson, all day, fires too high, incomplete. Tully Wiley Matongi, the tight end, intended target.
Wiley Matongi, he's known more as a pass receiver. This one just thrown a little bit late, a little bit behind, but it hit him in both hands. That's a play you're expected to make. Everything won't be perfect. Major college football. Got to pick your quarterback up on that one.
Nick Perepsky to punt, who was very good in the first half. On the rollout punt, short punt that Pettis calling for a fair catch. And Dante Pettis makes it at the Washington 37-yard line. Huskies get the ball back, leading at Oregon State 14-zip. One of the big attractions, at least food-wise, here in Corvallis, local boys, Hawaiian barbecue, right on the north side of campus at Oregon State. Also, it's maybe the reason why there's so many Hawaiians on this Oregon State team. There are 12 players from Hawaii on this Oregon State football team, including 9 from the island of Oahu. And 12 have moved across the Pacific to go to school here in Corvallis. Jake Browning to throw on first down. Myles Gaskin out of the backfield. And he picked up about 8 on that first down pass play as Austin Hudson along with David Morris on the tackle.
One of the things we've seen from Washington's offense more so this season, getting into the running backs out of the backfield. It's one of the ways they haven't necessarily stressed Oregon State's defense so far in the game here.
Low the play dead on second and short. And this will back up the Huskies 5 yards.
Before the snap, false start, number 75 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Left guard, Jesse Sosby. For Washington, that's just their second penalty today. But what do I know? Stats are for losers. At least that's what Chris Peterson said this week when somebody brought up the numbers about Oregon State's defense. Myles Gaskin weaving his way out to midfield and a first down. Patient running from Gaskin.
Patient and sudden. You're right there in the hole one-on-one with a tackler. He thinks he's got Myles Gaskin dead to rights, and then all of a sudden he's not there anymore.
From midfield, here's Gaskin again, breaking tackles. Gaskin picks up about 20 before he's run out by David Morris. And it seems that the Huskies have found their rhythm offensively.
They ran that power play again. Nick Harris pulled around. He had to seal as opposed to kicking out. Gaskin just cut right off the block.
Again, it's Gaskin, and he's sent backwards. Manasseh Hungalu along with Elu Aiden for Oregon State.
They stacked it up this time. Well played by Hungalu. There was still some movement at the point of attack, but Hungalu played downhill more effectively at a very good angle. Met Gaskin right in the hole.
No gain officially, second down. Levon Coleman at running back as Hunter Bryant goes in motion. Browning pumps on the rollout, dumps it off to Pettis, who stumbles and falls down behind the line. A loss on the play. The Turf Monster got Dante Pettis. Loss of 4. How big is this play for the Oregon State defense?
It's huge if you can at least hold them to a position where they're not willing to attempt a field goal or go for the fourth down. I don't believe we'd see them going for what ends up being a 4th and 14 if they don't gain any yardage here.
Browning for Pettis. Flag down, doesn't matter. Touchdown, Washington.
Holding, number 22 of the defense, the penalty is declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
The holding against Isaiah Dunn, declined. Dante Pettis, his second touchdown catch.
Turning into a long night for Isaiah Dunn. He's been one-on-one time and time again with Dante Pettis. That's tough duty.
Van Soderberg the extra point. It's not fair to leave the freshman by himself to cover one of the best receivers in the country.
College football has very few playmakers like Dante Pettis. So you understand why defensive backs feel a need to hold. Doesn't matter at all. Pettis picking up the and one.
Number 6, Washington has opened up with a big second half to this point. 21-0. They were up 7-0 at the half. And Dante Pettis with 2 touchdown catches for the Huskies here in the third quarter. So 21-0 lead for UW. As the Huskies have opened things up since halftime as Tristan Vizcaino will kick it off here. And the second half struggles, unfortunately, for Oregon State continue, which is something that they know far too well here in the 2017 season. Returnable kick, and from the 7, Oregon State gets it out across the 20-yard line. It's time for a 76-fueled moment.
This touchdown grab by Dante Pettis, fueled by the precision of his execution, as you'll see him stem the defensive back. On the previous touchdown he had, stemmed him in one direction and came back. This one stems him outside, then comes back in as he releases inside. Just uses a quick, subtle rip move through the hold of Isaiah Dunn. Has enough strength to work his way to the end zone for the teardrop.
All right, Darrell Garrettson and the Oregon State offense, they need to get something going now. The game is getting away from them. Garrettson, the shovel pass. Spinning Artavis Pierce. And they get 5 yards out of that play, and we saw them use that once in the first half.
And now Taylor Rapp is making life more difficult to even consider a shot play because he's drawing his alignment further back. He's very good in center field. His teammate JoJo McIntosh next to him, still working downhill. Right there, prepared to run the alley.
Ryan Nall goes in motion. Garrettson lobs it for Nall. Nall breaking a tackle and out near midfield in coverage. Keyshawn Bierria tripped him up enough to get him out of bounds, but that was a beautiful lead from Garrettson to Nall.
And watch this develop the entire way because Bierria is going to take a beeline. He knows that in man coverage, Ryan Nall is his responsibility. Takes a proper angle. Darrell Garrettson just fits it right over the upfield shoulder. It's the only spot he could have put it where Nall had a shot.
And Ryan Nall hobbling over toward the Oregon State bench after that catch and run of 19 yards. From the Beavers, 49. Garrettson on the rollout. Throws it back for Artavis Pierce, and it's nearly intercepted by Austin Joyner.
Miles Bryant had a pick 6 last week in a very similar scenario. Washington likes to run trap coverage because they run so much man in their secondary. So when you go trap coverage, you're showing man coverage in the initial part of the snap. But then the defensive back comes off of it and operates downhill. So you're able to bait the quarterback.
Bryant had the pick 6 last week in Boulder. Jordan Miller with 2 interceptions last week. As Artavis Pierce on the carry. It's into Washington territory. Miles Bryant tripped him up. And here's the end of the play where Ryan Nall may have injured himself.
Keyshawn Bierria made the initial hit, and then from there, Austin Joyner comes in to finish off the tackle, hits him low. Understand why Nall was ginger after that one.
Trying to walk it off. 3rd down and 7 into Washington territory. The Huskies defense has been opportunistic on the season as far as forcing turnovers and interceptions, but Oregon State has taken decent care of the football today. Screen set up, Artavis Pierce. And Pierce, did he lose the football? Washington says they have it. Upended by Ben Burke-Hervin. Washington says they have the football, and coming away with it is Greg Gaines.
Really well played by Ben Burke-Hervin. He leads this team in tackles. He's rotated in quite a bit with Azim Victor. And then that's where takeaways happen. When you've got 320-pounders like Greg Gaines, willing to leave the stack, willing to sprint and chase the football to be in position to maybe make a tackle on a cutback or scoop if you have an opportunity to take it away.
The Huskies at plus 1.5 per game. 8th best turnover margin in the country coming in. On the rollout, Browning gets it to Hunter Bryant. And Bryant dragging tacklers for a first down as we check in with Lewis.
Roxy, significant development here on the Oregon State sideline. You see Ryan Nall on the bench. He originally came over. They looked at that left ankle. He talked about pain, got up, tried to walk it off, but now back you can see with the sock off, looking at that left foot and ankle again. Nall indicating with his face and his features saying that, he's got some pain. They're going to look at it and see if he can come back in, but that would be a huge loss for these guys.
All right, Lewis, not a good sign for Gary Anderson and Oregon State. Miles Gaskin, brought down by Manasseh Hunali. Inside 6 minutes to go in the third, and here's the tempo again from UW. Play action, Browning. And it's intercepted through the hands of Quentin Pounds. And it's David Morris with the pick, the freshman for the Beavers, as Oregon State gets the football right back.
Morris has been a tackling machine, but we haven't seen him actually making plays in pass coverage. This was right off the hands of Pounds, batted in the air by Hungalu, and off the tip drill, the true freshman, snatching it like a thief in the night.
First career pick for the freshman from Sherwood, Oregon, David Morris, leading tackler on the season for this Oregon State defense, and that's what the Beavers had to have. Get the football back from their own 30. Here we are with 5:42 to go in the third quarter. Oregon State has only 99 yards of total offense.
Where is Jordan Villamy? Where is Isaiah Hodgins?
Garrettson will throw the deep ball for Seth Collins, and it's broken up. Jordan Miller knocked it away.
It's at least a shot. You at least threw a deep pass, and you've given your receiver an opportunity to make a play. Guys won't always run wide open. Kevin McGibbon needs to give the green light to Darryl Garrettson. Down 3 scores here in the latter stages of the third quarter. They have to take some chances.
Well, Oregon State has run one play in Washington territory in this football game.
In the whole game.
And it was a fumble. Artavis Pierce on the screen, and he goes end over end. Austin Joyner coming up with the play. And Pierce is still down.
He went airborne. Obviously landed very hard.
While they look at Artavis Pierce, will step aside. 21-0 Washington. Next Saturday, a doubleheader on Pac-12 Network. First at 1 o'clock from the LA Coliseum, Oregon State. The Beavers travel down to LA to take on USC. Then at 5 o'clock Pacific, 6 Mountain, Arizona heads to Boulder and Folsom Field. The Wildcats and the Buffs. Coverage kicks off Saturday at noon with the pregame show presented by 76. Artavis Pierce, after a scary play where he went end over end, was able to walk off the field. And on third down, a low snap is dumped off by Garrettson. Cutting it back is Thomas Tyner. And Tyner brought down shy of the first down. Taylor Rapp, the tackle for Washington, and it's fourth down. And Beavers offense heads to the sideline again.
Vita Vea just narrowly avoided a crucial penalty flag on that one. Did jump early, was able to stop his momentum before getting across the line of scrimmage.
Nick Porepsky to punt. Dante Pettis standing inside the Washington 30. And the rollout punt, another good one from Porepsky, is again Pettis forced to call a fair catch, and he makes it after a 40-yard punt as we take it to Mike Yam in the studio.
All right, Roxy, time for a Red Robin studio update. We'll check in on Oklahoma State as they're matching up against Texas Tech. Tied at 14, Mason Rudolph. using the legs just for a second there. Jalen McCleskey's got the touchdown. Rudolph, 3 scores in that first half. Right now, Cowboys up 21-17 starting the third.
Making me hungry with the Red Robin references today. Yum.
Nope.
Hunter Bryant in motion. Huskies at the 27. And it's Levon Coleman slashing through the line. And Coleman brought down as it gets across midfield. 25 yards and then quickly to the ball, the Huskies.
I always like the way Coleman runs the football because he's got a quick slash, one-cut nature to him.
Coleman again, chased down from behind. Brandon Arnold, the safety, coming up in run support.
That's not necessarily the game of Levon Coleman. Jump cut, bouncing outside. He's at his most effective when it's one cut and immediately downhill, almost in that Royce Freeman sort of manner.
Loss of a yard for Levon Coleman. Second down at the Oregon State 49. Browning is 19 of 26, 234 yards passing. Hands it off, Levon Coleman, short gain. Runs into Philip Napoleon along with Bright Ugwebu for Oregon State. And it's third down and an opportunity again for this Beavers defense to get off the field and stop a drive.
It's got to happen.
Browning fires. Lennius the catch. First down, Washington. Braden Lennius inside the 35.
They just continue to capture Oregon State, trying to change personnel. And they don't have to wait on them. Washington can show you all kinds of different formations and make it look like different personnel when they never sub anybody.
And the confusion calling on Gary Anderson to get a timeout. And he is frustrated.
I'm guessing there's a chance he's saying maybe let's not sub on critical downs if they're not subbing. That may be what he's communicating to anybody who can hear him. And let's look back at the last throw that moved the chains from Jake Browning, because you need a quarterback. It's one thing for Chris Peterson and Jonathan Smith to have this idea in their head. You need a quarterback who can quickly get the offense lined up, get the play communicated in the proper formation, then off the snap, know precisely where he needs to go with the football. Braden Lennius, who's built like a tight end, he moved the chains.
Lennius 6'5", 230, the junior from North Vancouver, BC. On first down, the play action. Browning steps up, and it's nearly intercepted as Key Wetzel dropping back in coverage as Myles Gaskin trying to slide out and down the sideline.
That's well done from the freshman. He's into a backpedal when really he should have turned and run at a certain point, but able to just narrowly nick the football with his fingertips before it got to Gaskin.
Talking to Kevin Clune, the defensive coordinator for Oregon State yesterday, look, Key Wetzel's got potential that's off the charts, and some plays he just has natural ability he'll make. Is that one of those plays?
That's a great example of it, because the technique was flawed, but he was athletic enough just to be in position and narrowly make the play that was his assignment.
Myles Gaskin, the ball carrier. Gaskin, a huge hole. Gaskin cuts it back. Myles Gaskin, touchdown. 32 yards, an impressive run as Gaskin finds the end zone for the 6th time this year.
Let's watch him work. Now we're going to circle the play side here, even though there's multiple actions working, because you get pullers like Jesse Soulsby, but it has to be sealed by Caleb McGarry. And not only does he seal it, he moves the point of attack against the opponent's will. That's why Myles Gaskin can work downhill so quickly.
Van Soderberg for the extra point. $28-0 Washington, as the Huskies have broken open a 7-0 ball game here in the third quarter.
We know the Washington offense for their wide open playmaking abilities, but the ground and pound is how they like to finish opponents off.
I got a mortgage offer from the bank today.
What? You never just get one offer. Go to LendingTree.com and shop multiple loan offers for free.
Free?
Yeah, could save thousands. You should probably buy me dinner.
No.
Go to LendingTree.com for a new home loan or refinance. Receive up to 5 free offers and choose the loan that's right for you. Our average customer could lower their monthly bills by over $300. Go to LendingTree.com right now.
28-0 Washington as Myles Gaskin an impressive 32-yard touchdown run. Washington 411 yards of total offense now, outgaining Oregon State 411 to 102, and up 28-zip on the scoreboard. Tristan Vizcaino a line drive kick and goes into the end zone as Xavier Hawkins lets it bounce through, and we bounce it down to the studio at Mike Yam.
All right, Roxy, time for a Valvoline Studio update. Alabama matching up against Ole Miss. The Tide's defense stepping up once again. Already on top 7-0. Shea Patterson firing. Levi Wallace back the other way. 35-yard pick six. Nick Saban's crew rolling up 28-3.
Wow.
Well, Mike, Washington's got it rolling here now. After it was a tight ball game at the half, the Huskies have opened it up with a tremendous third quarter. And this Oregon State offense has been sputtering, and Ryan Nall getting injured here in the third quarter. Timmy Hernandez in motion. Is Garrettson on the rollout? He'll throw on the move. Jordan Bileman can't hang on. The pass was behind him. And it's incomplete.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, Roxy, where Darryl Garrettson is very mobile. He's fairly accurate when he throws on the run, but we've seen a lot of the passing game tonight for Oregon State with him operating from within the pocket. We really haven't seen him operate very much, if at all, as just a straight ball carrier on these read options. And, you know, they haven't been able to sustain drives, so you don't open the playbook up if you're not getting that many opportunities.
On second down, and it's Thomas Tyner the carry as we check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Roxy and Ant, look down here on the field. There's about to be a life-changing moment for one of these Oregon State students because someone is about to win in-state tuition for the 2017-2018 academic year, and the value is up to about $12,000. How does it work? So, some of these kids downloaded tickets before the game, came here. 10 names were called at halftime. 7 of them were here. So in the left end zone, there are 4 blindfolded Oregon State students, 3 on the other side. And in a few moments, they're going to have to spin around as flags fly on the field, spin around 10 times, and then make their way toward the center of the field. If one of these students can walk to the eye of the beaver in the middle of the field, they are going to win a scholarship for next season. So if anyone doesn't make it, we take the penalty there. And if anyone doesn't make it to the eye, whoever's closest will get books for next year. So that's happening between the third and the fourth quarter. How about that?
You going to help him at all, Lewis?
I'm going to. One guy's already tried to bribe me to help him out, but I couldn't do it.
So you're floating it out there. You can be bribed. That's what I understand.
I sort of left it open. I left it open. I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness.
3rd and 13 for Oregon State after the false start, and Fred Lawina. Play action for Garrettson. Fires, and it's almost intercepted. Jordan Miller, the closest man there, the corner for the Huskies, as Seth Collins in the area for Oregon State. And another punt for Nick Porepsky, who has been a busy man today for the Beavers.
A busy man who's had a really effective night, though. I mean, you've got one of the great punt returners in college football history, and virtually every punt that hasn't been down inside the 20 has been fair caught. Gary Anderson told us it was a matchup between Porepsky and Pettis. He was going to put it on his punter to have a big night. Porepsky answered the call.
Here he goes again, the rollout punt, a line drive that takes a bounce for Porepsky and goes out of bounds. His 8th punt of the day, not including the kneel down at the end of the first half. Oregon State has had 9 offensive possessions today. 8 Porepsky punts, all have been effective, by the way, and a fumble.
He was as big a part of the reason as anything that kept them in the first half, because it gave the long field to Washington so frequently that their defense was in a position to play with their ears pinned back.
Huskies ball at their own 39. 21-point third quarter, still a minute 7 remaining until we hit the fourth.
All this motion, all this window dressing pre-snap. Washington does it as well as anyone.
Myles Gaskin, a big hole through the line. Gaskin into Oregon State territory before he's finally brought down by Paisa Savea. And Savea slow to get up.
It just puts you back on your heels a little bit when the offense throws so many motions at you before the play. Are you conscious of where they may attack you, what your gap responsibility is? Are you audibilizing the call?
So an Oregon State team coming off a bye and trying to regroup after a tough loss in Pullman a couple of weeks ago, where Jake Luton was injured, and Darryl Garretson taking over quarterback, and Gary Anderson, look, he said you wouldn't know it looking at these guys, the way they practice, the intensity, that we're 1-3 and are struggling as a program right now. And they've come out with that effort, and they have fought hard here today. The defense has been pretty good up until this third quarter. It's kept them in the game. Let's face it, though, the team on the other side of the field right now, the talent gap is pretty wide between Washington and Oregon State.
It certainly is. The personnel is part of it, but then just schematically, Washington throws so many things at your defense. It's difficult to prepare for them going in because they do so much. They can look like a power running team 1 minute. They can look like a spread offense the next. They'll throw a little bit of zone read at you, even though Jake Browning isn't necessarily too much of a threat in that aspect. It's good to see Paisa Savea able to come off the field. But even with a bye week, there's just so much volume to the playbook that Chris Peterson runs. It's just difficult to prepare.
And that's what's pretty remarkable about Jake Browning, as he came in as a true freshman and was the starting quarterback. Considering what you just alluded to, the volume in the playbook and what he has to deal with as the quarterback of this offense. And now in his junior year, Browning has gone over 1,000 yards on the season in passing. He's on the rollout, dumps it off. Hunter Bryant rustles away Austin Hudson, and Bryant surges forward to get a first down. And the freshman, who's showing his versatility in the passing game, the tight end for the Huskies.
He's been called upon a lot more in this season with Drew Sample, one of the other tight ends, out of the lineup in recent weeks.
Browning to Braden Lenius. And Lenius dragged down as he's near the 30-yard line. Kyle White on the tackle. And there's Lewis. We're 20 seconds away from a life-changing moment. He's giving it last-minute opportunities for somebody over there to, hey, you going to help me out?
I'm assuming he's just making sure they can't see. But you never know what's being said there.
So we're through 3 at Reser Stadium in Corvallis, and number 6 Washington has opened up a 28-point lead. Somebody's life is going to change. We'll keep you hooked.
They're already running into each other.
See this.
Let's go places.
This Pac-12 football game is presented by Red Robin Yum and by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave. And by 76, we're on the driver's side.
Well, it was an opportunity for somebody to have a scholarship, in-state tuition scholarship for next year, valued at the $12,000. And boy, kind of tough. Blindfolded, you had to spin around 10 times and then somehow try to make your way to the center of the field, to the Beaver mascot there, and put yourself on the eye to get the money. Nobody did it. There was absolute disorientation out of the field there. One young man, Dylan O'Brien, was closest. We're trying to verify if he is actually going to be the winner, which will be books for next year. We'll find out in just a minute, Roxy.
All right, Lewis, is Jake Browning on the rollout, pass to Dante Pettis. And it certainly was entertaining watching that during the timeout, considering you had people heading in opposite directions. I think somebody ran into a wall in the corner.
They certainly ran into each other at a certain point.
On third and short, Browning. and they blow the play dead after the play had already started.
Prior to the snap, officials timeout. The ruling on the preceding play is under further review.
Washington tried to hurry and snap it before the officials could stop play for review. They will review the last play to see if it was a catch by Dante Pettis. So here's what happened during the timeout, or the quarter break, while the official review is going on. All right.
I know you're a baseball guy, right?
Yes.
I mean, usually there would be a baseball bat involved with this, right? And they'd have their head, their
Some
forehead.
minor league promotion, yeah. The spinning bat race.
But then somehow they all go completely away from the eye at midfield.
But somebody, the winner that Lewis was talking about, at least, okay, then he'll probably get booked, we believe. He was pretty close.
Has been confirmed. First down.
The ruling on the previous play was confirmed as Terry Layton misspoke. It wasn't a first down, and he corrected himself third down. That it was confirmed it was a completion from Browning to Pettis. So it's now 3rd down and 1. And Washington, who was up 7-0 at the half, up 28-0, and they go with the Wildcat. And it's Myles Gaskin running for the first down. And all right, we called it the Angry Beaver when Oregon State ran it for the first half. What is the Washington variety, man? What are you going with?
Rabbit dog. Let's go with that.
It works for a first down at the 15.
Wild Miles crossed my mind for a moment, but I prefer Rabbit Dog.
Washington 457 yards of total offense now, and Gaskin 113 yards on the ground. Browning for the end zone. One more time, Jake Browning, Dante Pettis. 3rd time they've hooked up for a score today.
It's tough to double team him because they do move the alignment of Dante Pettis around so much. But with that, you can still have your safety on or a certain side of the field once they do see the alignment of number 8.
Van Soderberg for the extra point, and it's 35-0 Washington, and the Huskies are cruising now in Corvallis.
Or no.
Number 6 Washington and Oregon State. Browning for the corner. Touchdown Washington. But an excellent surge from Oregon State. The Beavers hanging with Washington.
Mugalu brings him down. There was no escape available.
Browning for the end zone. Pettis. Touchdown Washington.
College football has very few playmakers like Dante Pettis.
13:59 remaining. It's all Washington. Number 6 UW up 35-0 on Oregon State, along with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you. And this was a 7-point game at the half. It was 7-0 Huskies to the locker room. What happened?
Feels like a long time ago. We've seen now Jake Browning start to cut it loose more than he did in the first half, get the ball out of his hands, take advantage of some of the playmakers available to him. And that offensive line, I mean, Trey Adams, Caleb McGarry, Nick Harris, Coleman Shelton, they have started to dominate this ball game in a way that they weren't doing in the first half.
Van Soderberg with this kickoff, and on the return for Oregon State. And bringing it out across the 25 is Xavier Hawkins, and it's time for our CDW well-orchestrated play.
Well, there's any number of options here, but let's go with Dante Pettis stair-stepping the defender right there towards the inside, and then this subtle arm over Isaiah Dunn. And he left enough space towards the sideline for Jake Browning to drop it in, and then there, stair-stepped him out, came in for the slant route. Dante Pettis has had a hungry night. He wanted 6, and he keeps getting it.
Thomas Tyner takes the handoff as Garrison continues at quarterback for Oregon State. As the Beavers are barely over 100 yards of total offense today. Granted, Harold Garrison back at quarterback for the injured Jake Luton. Ryan Null getting hurt here early in the second half. It's been a struggle for this Beavers defense against a stingy and terrific Washington defense. The Washington Huskies defensively this year, number 10 in the country in scoring defense, coming in and giving up 11.8 points per game as Jordan Villeman on the slant. And with a catch near a first down, it's a bit short. And the first catch for Villeman today. And now Oregon State quickly to the line. On third down, trouble with the handoff as Tyner and Garrettson had difficulty. Washington says they have it. And there's the signal. UW football, and it's Tevis Bartlett coming away with it. Second giveaway by the Oregon State Beavers today at their second fumble.
They protected it so effectively in the first half. We've seemingly entered the part of the game now where it's begun to rain and now pouring a bit on Oregon State. And Thomas Tyner just hasn't had as many game reps this season due to injury and depth chart because they're so talented at the tailback position. It didn't look like he was in the proper position to receive the handoff from Garrettson.
At the plus 38, Huskies have had 13 plays of 10 or more yards here in the second half, and that's too high for Quentin Pounds. Browning just missed him. Browning 284 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. 12:34 to go. Washington will host Cal next week. There's a penalty on the play, which will back up Washington 5 yards. It's first and 15 for the Dogs. Oregon State will have to regroup and do it quickly because they travel down to LA next week. They've got USC at 1 o'clock right here on Pac-12 Network next Saturday at the Coliseum.
Troy will be ready to lick some wounds there.
Yeah, they are going to come out with a little angry in them next week. Spun around, Savon Ahmed the carry, and there's a late flag. The freshman from Kirkland, Washington with the carry. His first carry of the day.
Personal foul, big snap, against the defense. 15 yards to miss the play,
and you can see the frustration in Gary Anderson.
Imploring his team to continue playing hard as they have games throughout the season. Just the lack of execution, key moments, has kept this team from being able to break through.
On second down, Browning to the outside. It's Pounds. Nice open field tackle from Isaiah Dunn. And it brings up actually 2nd and 7 now for the Huskies. They found their offensive rhythm here in the second half after an uneven first half from Washington. Their defense has been a constant from the outset today. Sean McGrew, the ball carrier this time. Very little running room as Austin Hudson there for Oregon State. Gain of a couple brings up third down. Frustration for Oregon State in the second half continue.
Seeing Washington allowing the clock to run, taking down between each plays, even though they're not fully huddling up, allowing the play clock to tick down below 10.
3rd and 5. Ahmed and McGrew in the backfield. And this is Ahmed out of the backfield, has a first down. Savon Ahmed, the catch and run. It'll be first and goal Huskies.
I'll be curious to see the development of Savon Ahmed. He was a one of the top recruits in the country and who's recruited as an athlete, as a running back, a return man, a defensive back. He came out of high school. We've seen Chris Peterson move players around. You may make plays as an offensive guy one year, and then suddenly you're on defense the next.
Here is McGrew, and he gets stood up right at the line. Good surge by the Oregon State defense.
Stood up and then laid down.
Sent backward.
Yeah.
Approaching 10 minutes to go, and the Huskies will win their 9th consecutive road game, it appears, and also win the 6th straight in this series.
Second goal from the 8. We'll see if they lean on this offensive line. They're coming out in the spread set. You have Bisley here in the wing.
It's McGrew again. He gets down to the 4. David Morris there on the tackle, along with Doug Dalmulao. Third and goal for Washington at the 4-yard line. So Oregon State, coming off that bye week, they came out with some energy. They were focused, had a good game plan.
They really did.
But it just unraveled here in the second half. Third and goal. This is McGrew through the line into the end zone. Sean McGrew, touchdown Washington.
This time they just lined up and said, here we come. And the power play again. Good seal block from Trey Adams. Nick Harris pulled around. Led McGrew to the paint.
And Soderberg for the extra point. A 7-0 Washington lead at halftime is now 42-0 Washington. 8:53 to go.
This is championship level defense the Dogs have on the field this season.
This team defensively is as good as it gets in America.
The defense, phenomenal so far for the Huskies.
Up front, Vita Vea, Brett Gaines. It's a terrific defensive front seven.
It's the best defense in the Pac-12.
Well, Washington has outscored their opponents now 117-19 in the second halves of games this season. A 7-0 game is now 42-0. Washington. 8:53 to play. As the kickoff from Van Soderberg. Kessie Ahoy will bring it out. About a yard deep in the end zone. Ahoy out across the 25. As we check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, we had that fun contest a few moments ago, Roxy, and these are the two folks that actually won. They didn't win the scholarship, but still they had a nice time out there, I think. You guys are lost dizzy. Dylan over here is a freshman from Portland. He's studying engineering. Megan from the Bay Area, interior design and management. You going to do live Snapchat right now?
Yes.
Why not? Yeah. So you guys were blindfolded and turned around 10 times. Did you have any idea where you were when you started walking?
No, I actually took off early, so, I mean, they had to bring me back.
They did.
Yeah.
Megan, what about you? Did you have a clue as to where you were going?
No, I was just really confused.
Man, everybody looked like you were confused, but was it fun?
Yeah, it was really fun.
All right, so take me back to the beginning of the week. You guys download the tickets, right? And then you come here to at the stadium, and what did you think when you heard your name? Only 10 names were called.
I actually didn't even hear my name. I got texts from my friends saying, hey, you just got called, and I'm looking around, where do I go? And I end up on the field, so, it all worked out.
And Megan, I mean, both of you guys are studying things, engineering and interior design, which got a lot of books. What does it mean to get books for a term, for a semester?
It's actually very helpful because I spent $450 this term on books, so it's really nice.
And Dylan, for you in engineering, I mean, big help?
Oh, yeah, it is definitely a big help. I mean, books are expensive, and it'll definitely be a help this next term.
All right. Guys, is this not a great college night? At the football game, you win books for a semester?
Yeah, this is my first actually game as a Beaver. First week, so, couldn't get much better than this.
All right, you get the live Snapchat going, and we'll say thank you to you and thank you to Megan. Good job, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Right here we go.
All right, Lewis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we are. Dylan won books tonight.
So Dylan actually admitted he tried to cheat. He was trying to start early. Then he was live, either tweeting or
snapping. He was snapping.
Snapping while he was being interviewed by Lewis. He was multitasking is what Dylan was doing.
Lewis Johnson has interviewed some of the top athletes on planet Earth. I wonder if that's the first time he's ever interviewed someone while they're snapping.
Yes. Usain Bolt didn't Snapchat in the big zone at the Olympics.
Thomas Tyner gets into Washington territory. I wouldn't put it past Usain Bolt, Lewis. I think he could do whatever he wanted.
There were some races he was so far out there he could have pulled out his phone, Snapchat, and still broke the world record.
Second down for Oregon State. Inside 7:10 to go. So this will be the second play tonight that Oregon State has run in Washington territory. So just the second time they've been across midfield. Thomas Tyner inside the 40, first down Beavs. Well, Lewis really has done it all this weekend. Here was Lewis last night with the Oregon State band.
A busy night.
I was having so much fun with that. And listen, I haven't picked up a saxophone since high school. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Did you hear me?
We're about to hear it right now. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it looks like he kind of knows what he's doing.
And I have to thank Lucy Huffman, who is a junior saxophone player who let me borrow her instrument there for that moment, and that was so cool.
Travoris Johnson on the carry. And Lewis Johnson was the star last night.
When I first was getting ready to join the band, I picked up a saxophone, and the squeak that came through the reed of the sax was so loud, I put it right down and picked up a trombone. My mom wanted me to be the next Kenny G.
How'd that work out for you?
I continued to grow and eat, and the whole saxophone thing didn't appeal to me anymore.
And the hair didn't work either.
Not quite, no. There's some good mains on the field tonight, though.
Travoris Johnson. Nice run through the line. First down, Beavers. And he's a little fired up, getting an opportunity here late in the game to try to get something going for this Oregon State offense.
Johnson from TCU transfer. Talented ball carrier, just in a very crowded backfield between Ryan Nall and Artavis Pierce, Thomas Tyner. Hard to get on the field if you're a tailback for the Beavs.
Well, we've seen Ryan Nall and Artavis Pierce get banged up here in the second half. There could be an opportunity for Johnson. And Tyner just returned to the field after a hamstring injury for the Beavers. Is Travoris Johnson down inside the 15. So Oregon State just trying to get something going here late in the game, build on a drive here that can maybe get them going into USC next week.
We've seen them do a few things in the second half that I think they need to build on from a schematic standpoint. That's mainly centered around the mobility of Darryl Garretson. I really think to be able to get him out of the pocket, both as a passer and as a runner, will stress the defense in a way they weren't able to stress the Huskies defense tonight.
Second down. Tyner, the running back. And Tyner spinning and trying to break a tackle or two. Brandon Wellington, the first hit for the Washington defense.
You know, it's just really cool to see Thomas Tyner back on the football field. Referenced earlier, a couple of years as an Oregon Duck. And quite frankly, I called the U.S. Army All-American Bowl when he played in that game, and that was before Royce Freeman had joined the Ducks. And just from a sheer talent standpoint, he was at least as gifted, if not more than Freeman coming out of high school. He's just had so many injuries over the years and retired from football for a while. And now he's at least healthy enough to rejoin major college football. It's nice to see.
On third down, Garretson, and it's tipped and nearly intercepted. Trying to dump it off to Tyner coming out of the backfield, and it's Amandre Williams, the redshirt freshman on the edge for Washington.
Got the 1 minute on the ball, almost batted it back down to himself, couldn't quite reel it in.
So on 4th and 4, Gary Anderson leaves the offense out there, and they'll go for it here. Tyner, the running back. And Tyner through the line. Tyner into the end zone. Beavers get on the board. 12-yard touchdown run for Thomas Tyner. First touchdown of the season for the senior.
There was a point in the career of Thomas Tyner where he thought he'd never cross pay dirt again. He believed his football career to be over. In what's been a long night for Oregon State. That's a nice punctuation, a feel-good moment.
Jordan Schuker with the extra point, but Thomas Tyner, the former Oregon Duck, 14 scores with it.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
So Big Ant and the Polynotes with Amazing Grace.
That was my audition.
And you passed. They were impressed.
Okay, all right. Well, good. I'm glad I didn't embarrass the Polynotes because they've truly performed around campus. They've been in different contests over the last couple of years. Fred Luina, the senior right tackle, is sort of the leader of the group. Some of the younger players, 3 offensive linemen, a defensive lineman, about 1,300 pounds total of harmony.
KJ Curtis Samuels takes over at quarterback for the Huskies as Savon Ahmed, the ball carrier. No, you were right there in rhythm with the Polynotes.
I'm going to let them use that, 1,300 pounds of harmony. The Polynotes can use that. When they cut their first album, that should be in the liner notes somewhere, 1,300 pounds of harmony.
So when Baby Heron magically appears this week, you're going to fly the Polynotes out to sing lullabies?
Well, they need 2 seats apiece at least. That may be an expensive flight.
Well, Anthony, I was impressed. You sang it like you were back in the old days of Sunday school there.
I'm not going to win any Grammys, but I'm not afraid to do karaoke. I'll say that.
That was a bold move, but very nice. And the Polynotes accepted you. I mean, they thought you did great. And so did we, man.
Although you don't have the hair to keep up with the Polynotes.
Yeah, that's true.
I definitely do
true, Roxy.
That's some impressive blocks right there.
There's some mains on these sidelines. Both teams, really. Impressive growth. I'm long past trying to grow anything on top of my scalp, at least not much.
Inside 2 minutes to go. Yes, this is what happens in a 42-7 game. Curtis Samuels, the junior from Saratoga in the Bay Area. Ahmed another carry, and this will be another first down for Washington. Coming up after the ball game, join Mike Yam, a proud Husky, Nigel Burton, and Eric Allen in the studio for the Sonic post-game report. A recap of Bryce Love's enormous game on the farm today. Big just doesn't do it justice. They'll recap this one, plus updates on the night games in the Pac-12. Couple of Pac-12 after dark games with Colorado, UCLA, and then down in Eugene, Cal and Oregon gives us an opportunity before we get to Big Ant's Impact 5. We'll check the flag.
Five-yard penalty, first down.
Titus Filounga called for being offside. Here are your Impact 5.
Well, Utah is a team that, while they're undefeated, I just don't think overall they've been as impressive as Stanford has. At USC at number 3 after their upset last night. Washington State is nipping at the heels of the team who, with good reason, is number 1, the Washington Huskies.
Savon Ahmed brought down, maybe got a yard. Nase Hongalu still in there with the tackle here. So here's the 5, and well, the interesting thing is Stanford and Utah on a collision course, and they're going to see each other next week.
Right. You know, some folks may be surprised by me having Stanford at number 4. I think with the execution Stanford has shown, especially offensively with Bryce Love, and then you factor in Utah getting a little bit beat up offensively, but I don't think the Utes have had dominant performances that I feel as comfortable with where they're at as I do with Stanford at number 4.
Stanford the last 2 weeks, and they found their mojo again as they ran right through UCLA last week. And then today, Bryce Love sets a single-game Stanford record, runs for over 300 yards.
Bryce Love so explosive, that offensive line is playing at an elite level.
Well, Chris Peterson and the Washington Huskies will go to 5-0 as they were dominant, especially in the second half today against Oregon State, as number 6 UW cruises to a 42-7 victory over Oregon State. The Beavers fall to 1-4 on the season. And the Huskies, 7-0 ball game at the half. They found something in the second half.
They found a level of execution that wasn't there in the first half, and quite frankly, I think they came out with a little bit more of that eye of the tiger, you know, a little bit more of that Rocky III towards the end of the movie in half 2 than what we saw in half 1. Jake Browning took some shot plays. His playmakers on the outside really made plays for him. Chief amongst those, Dante Pettis.
3 touchdown catches for Pettis, who was neutralized in the return game today, but still was explosive from the receiver spot with 12 catches for over 100 yards, and Lewis standing by with Chris Peterson.
Well, Coach, not your typical first half. What did you say at halftime to bring this team out, go right down the field and score, and not look back from there?
Not much.
Not much.
They know. Sometimes it takes a minute. You know, Oregon State, they do some good things. They can cause some problems for you. And, you know, we just weren't capitalizing in the red zone, and we had some penalties and those type of things. And sometimes it's why you got to play the full game.
I know you said you don't believe in fast starts and all those things, but as you look at the big picture in this conference and the national picture, you don't want to have a start like that again. So how do you help Browning and the rest of the guys get going earlier as you move on? You got Cal next week.
Yeah, we want to play better in the first half on offense for sure. So we'll look at the tape and figure out what the mistakes were. We'll get those cleaned up. You know, it's a 4-quarter game, man, and we talk to our guys all the time about that. And if it doesn't go our way in the first half, we'll win it in the second.
And speaking of Browning and Pettis, what did you like about the way they found the way to connect over and over again here in the last half of this game?
Well, we usually think if our O-line gives us time for Jake to set his feet, Dante's, you know, he can be a special player and he's going to make big plays. And so we're all in it together. It's not any one guy, but when everybody's doing their job, we can get some things done.
Excellent. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Roxy?
All right, Lewis, so Chris Peterson getting 3 touchdown passes and a touchdown run from Jake Browning as the offense got going, over 500 yards total offense, and the Huskies were clearly a different team in the second half.
The best team in the Pac-12. It took them a half to get started, but once they got started, they look like the team we all believe them to be. There are very few in the country who can do it at this level.
It's another big week for Washington. You've got a big week coming up, Big Ants. Enjoy it.
I appreciate it, buddy.
For my partner, Anthony Herron, for Lewis Johnson, our director, Scott Barkey, our producer, Michael Molinari, Roxy Bernstein saying so long from Corvallis. The Huskies win it 42-7. The Sonic postgame report is